Over the last little bit, we've seen a few retirements in WWE. John Cena called it a career, AJ Styles got Gunther'd shortly after, Brock Lesnar hit the pump fake at WrestleMania 42, Goldberg also in that same boat, and slowly but surely more names will join the list. But these are all by choice. For Edge in 2011, he had to call it a career because he had no other choice. Cervical spinal stenosis made it impossible for him to continue wrestling. It was made clear in bold letters that one more wrong move and it was straight into a wheelchair. He couldn't physically come back because it was impossible. The initial run earned him a spot in the Hall of Fame with 11 world championships and countless great rivalries under his belt, but there was always that feeling that it didn't end the right way. I mean, your final match being against Alberto Del Rio and having Brodus Clay lure, that's not exactly Hollywood stuff. Years came and went and it seemed pretty settled. It's over, he's retired. But then we come to what felt like the WWE gods wanting to give us one final jolt of happiness before the world shut down. The 2020 Royal Rumble, and at number 21, the rated R superstar. When Metalingus hit, yeah, Tropicana Field went nuts, but the wrestling world went mental. It was one of those you have to see to believe moments where it's genuinely hard to comprehend because of the circumstances facing the man who plays the character. And it was a signal. Every box that had to be checked probably was 10 times over. He had to have gone through everything to be here because it's been 9 years. Now he gets to go out the way he wants. Every now and then when I want to feel that burst of energy and just remember why I watched through the bad times, this is one of those moments that I go back to and remember what the highs can truly be like. It's a beautiful moment. A goosebump inducing moment. And now you could start playing Armchair Booker, mapping things out. Where could this return possibly go? Obviously, you had to mix it up with the two remaining Shield boys. AJ Styles was now in the company, so facing off with another top star of the 2000s was a no-brainer. John Cena was back and forth every now and then. What would a continuation of their story look like? And then the easy chase of a world title. You had that inbuilt story because when he went out in 2011, he had to leave the world championship in the middle of the ring. He never lost it. He had to vacate it. If WWE were able to give Christian the green light to come back, that would just be icing on the cake. Point is, there was promise, a perfect mix of visiting old stuff and telling some new stories as well. But the first order of business was old pal Randy Orton, and that just made too much sense. He eliminated him in the Rumble, and for him to be the person who helps Edge shake off the rust was a layup. Edge post-Rumble is laying it on the table, why he's back, how important this business is to him, and when given the chance to reunite Rated RKO, gets dropped with an RKO and concertoed, seemingly ending this run before it's even started. Randy starts to hear the voices in his head again, and when Beth Phoenix comes out to deliver an update on her husband, she's not safe from the RKO either. This rivalry is built on Orton thinking that he's doing this all for the betterment of Edge, bringing Edge's family into the mix, and how back in the day, Randy escaped trouble because of him. Now it's his turn to repay the favor and save this, as he put it, junkie, all for the love of his family. Edge emphasizes the word grit a lot, that he has it and Randy doesn't. Orton is jealous of his passion because you can't fabricate it. The only time he has it is when he's around. His first one-on-one match in 9 years ends up being in front of no one at WrestleMania 36, last man standing style. Rumor has it this match is still going on. I've made it clear, this match is far too long. A 36-minute match that probably should have been 25. If you like it, all the power to you. The commentators for this one sound like they're calling the Masters. Throughout this extensive walkthrough of the Performance Center, Phillips and Saxton have no intensity when you need that, especially when there's 0 people to make up the ambiance. Saxton legit sounds like he just woke up. Edge puts Orton down for the 10 count by crunching his head in with a concerto on top of a trailer. The WWE then sets up a rematch for June's Backlash with the tagline, "The greatest wrestling match ever," which goes 45 minutes and it's a good match. The tagline is wacky as hell. No match was ever going to live up to that. And when you hype something up so much, there's a chance that it's going to live up to that even less. They had the benefit of breaks, reshoots, and editing. Randy wanted this match because thus far, Edge has been able to hide behind other wrestlers and weapons in his 2 appearances. But now he wants to see what he's really made of. Can he do this one-on-one with no smoke and mirrors? I really do enjoy Edge's longer backstage promos where he's just sitting next to a shipping crate in a dim room. It's always good stuff and it feels like he truly puts a lot into these. They have legends weigh in on who they think will end up the victor. And on the go home is the return of Captain Charisma Christian, back with another edition of the Peep Show. He tells Edge that he couldn't pull off the greatest wrestling match ever, not even in his prime. He's running off fumes. If he thinks for a second that he can live up to it, he's doing nothing more than lying to himself, hyping him up by bringing up Edge's dead mother. Usually he brings up people's dead fathers. Last video I talked about the John Cena and AJ Styles rivalry and how they paid tribute to the wrestling world. This one also has some of that. They pull out big moves, they bring out the rock bottom, Randy attempts the three amigos, we get a pedigree, a kill switch, an angle slam, so many chops it would give Gunther nightmares. They licensed the song from The Greatest Showman for this, and there's a lot of different camera angles, they give it a retro feel. It's a long match, but I feel like there's a bunch of mini matches inside of one big match. If you actually take the time out to see what they're trying to convey, that Flair Steamboat dynamic, it's not bad. They're trying to build this up as a knockdown, drag out epic, but it's not. They're telling the story of how equal both of them are and they know each other really well. Orton goes low, and after a punt, a move that hasn't been used in years, Randy ends up winning it. The finishing sequence was really fun. It's not the greatest wrestling match ever, we know that. It's a forced epic, we know that. But this ends up squaring things up at 1 win apiece. Randy tells Edge to go home and tell his daughters and wife that Uncle Randy says hi. Edge got injured while doing a reshoot of part of the match. He had only been in 2 matches thus far, and now he had to take 7 months off to heal from a triceps injury. Makes you wonder what would have happened if not for this long period away. There's no evidence to back this up, it's just me speculating, but with SummerSlam coming up, this series tied 1-1, I think it would have made a lot of sense for the blow-off between him and Randy to take place there. That era post-SummerSlam, I really wonder what he'd be up to. If he wasn't injured, would he be mixing it up with Drew? Does he go to SmackDown to face off against Roman Reigns, getting drafted over to that brand earlier? He's announced to return at the 2021 Royal Rumble, entering at number 1, and he goes coast to coast to win it. Mixes it up with Randy Orton in the process. Because it's the 2021 Pandemic Rumble, this moment between Christian and Edge and their wholesome hug is so forgotten. I remember at the time there was a lot of why the hell did Edge win the Royal Rumble? Realistically, who else was going to win it? The other title match was Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. WWE then wants to do the thing where they delay the decision and they delay the decision and then they make him go to NXT and be like, maybe I'll pick Finn Balor, because logically, of course, it would be him. Everyone knew that the match they had to run was Edge versus Roman one-on-one. For me, especially with how awesome early Tribal Chief was, this was one of the most anticipated matches, and it only got more exciting as Roman broke everything in sight. They blow off the Edge and Orton rivalry with Edge getting the win because of Alexa Bliss interference on Raw. Now we're on the road to WrestleMania 37. Roman plain and simple wants to be acknowledged as the main event of WrestleMania. He wants him to pick him. At Elimination Chamber, WWE sets up a match with Bryan winning a title shot in the very first match and then wrestling in the second match for the Universal Championship minutes after surviving the Chamber. Roman destroys Bryan and Edge spears Reigns, and there's our answer. Friendly tensions then rise between Bryan and Edge, where Bryan is gunning for the main event because this could be his last WrestleMania and his desperation is what fuels him. He beats Jay in a steel cage match to get a title shot at Fastlane, with Edge winning his first SmackDown match in 10 years to become the special enforcer of the match, basically being the Jay Uso security guard, making sure he doesn't run interference. But it's 2021 Roman Reigns, of course he runs interference. Roman wins, but they do the finish in a way where it's open-ended. Bryan is still around and he wants to be added into the WrestleMania match because Roman Reigns, air quotes, tapped out. WWE kind of dangles out this possibility that this whole rivalry could be a 2-night thing where Roman either defends the championship twice or the winner moves on to a different opponent, where maybe Edge and Bryan would fight on the night 1 and the winner would face Roman on the Sunday. Edge makes it his mission to tell anyone who will listen that Bryan shouldn't be in this match, that he's a weasel, with Bryan staking a protest, refusing to leave the ring until he gets what he wants. It's actually kind of funny how they go about this whole thing. Forget some John Cena classic with the winner that could have been the greatest loser of all time. Bryan lost the Rumble, lost at the Chamber, lost at Fastlane, and he still gets added into the match because Adam Pearce says so. Edge cuts this awesome promo on the April 9th episode of SmackDown where he talks about his desperation for the title, emphasizing that the match takes place 10 years to the day where he was forced to retire. He's dreamt of being Universal Champion and now he's going to manifest it. Also calling Bryan an indie bookstore clerk. WWE adds Bryan into the match, which was very weird. I don't think I can say it was out of left field because it's not like Roman and him weren't feuding, but it just seemed like that short chapter towards the end of 2020 was closed. It seems so weird to say now because of the Looney Tunes insane numbers Roman's title reign got to in the end, but Edge winning seemed like a huge possibility going into this year's WrestleMania. I remember thinking it was very, very likely that Edge was going to win the title because Rumble return, Rumble win, target the champ, other guy gets inserted, and maybe he's eating the pin because then you can still keep Roman looking strong. But how about both you guys eat the pin? These guys put on a killer triple threat match with all types of hell breaking loose, weapons, big spots, multi-man offense, the obligatory Jey Uso interference. Ultimately, he's the difference maker. A concerto puts Edge on his latest vacation, and I get it, he was part-time, but his returns become comically hilarious. It feels like he's coming back every 2 or 3 weeks. Roman, for the time being, is busy with Bryan and Cesaro, plus they're teasing him and Rollins for the Universal Championship. Edge returns in late June and comes face to face with Reigns, finally getting the one-on-one match that never was. He tells Roman that deep down he knows that he has his number. He chumps out both Usos and the entire family. Edge and Roman as a fleshed out rivalry sounds great, but this was more of a big match to do at Money in the Bank and a stepping stone for both guys' next programs. We get to Fort Worth, Texas for what I genuinely think is going to be one of the greatest pay-per-views of this entire decade. The show is awesome. It's got a huge return at the end, an excellent men's Money in the Bank ladder match with the right winner. It's got Rhea and Charlotte in a great match, and it ends off with Edge and Roman Reigns Universal Championship on the line. It's a great match with just as big of a big fight feel. Starts off slow, long feel out, the middle portion drags a bit. Once they start trading blows, that's where it really picks up. You'll know exactly what part I'm talking about if you watch it. Love the STF by Edge, shout out to John Cena. Roman eats some barricades for dinner, but it really picks up by the end. The referee is down, Reigns brings in a chair for the Glasgow Grin. The Mysterios run in to fend off the Usos. Seth ends up being the distraction that helps Roman retain in easily one of the better matches of this entire run. This bleeds us perfectly into Seth Rollins versus Edge. This, for my money, is easily the best thing Edge has done in his return from not only an in-ring perspective, but a storytelling standpoint. This rivalry between these two is excellent, excellent stuff. I already went in depth on their story from top to bottom. They didn't overdo it, they didn't hold back either. They, for 3-ish months, had a rivalry that had a lot to it and built on the little things really well. The simple option is not always the wrong one when you do these things. It made sense for this to be about how similar these two's careers are, and that's what drives the dream match forward. It's great. There's no outside interference, there's no illogical reasoning, there's no holes in why they're wrestling, there's no jelly roll, there's no random involvement or teases to nowhere. From summer to fall, it's just great television. It's a psychological battle between two guys who want to prove who's better. Seth cost Edge the Universal Championship, and now he wants to get his pound of flesh. He believes that Seth is a light version of him, and Seth does not like being called the Temu Edge. His entire existence now depends on proving to this guy who he's been compared to for forever that he's his own man. All the similarities are just a coincidence, but he's also made a fatal mistake. Back in 2014, he didn't stomp out his neck, and this whole thing could have been avoided if he just ended it on that one December day. They first meet in a great match at SummerSlam, which was probably the best of the night. Edge has to dig deep to avoid the stomp, and he picks up the win. That stomp, though, is made to be absolutely lethal. I said this in the rivalry video, but today, with how trigger happy people get with the finishers, it feels like it takes 7 to put someone away. Seth hits one stomp in this entire rivalry, and the effectiveness of that is awesome. Madison Square Garden was the scene of that crime, and Seth is so driven to do it that once he actually does it, he picks up the win. He sells this like he did in fact just end someone's life. But as we all know, Seth Rollins has to keep pushing it. He continues to bring in Edge's family into the fold and pays a visit to the Copeland crib, making the man whose name is on the mortgage papers pretty pissed off to the point where he wants him inside Hell in a Cell. That one is outstanding. It's genuinely one of the best matches of both their careers, I think. It's violent. It has that feel where it belongs inside those confines. They pummel each other in an exceptional match with Edge taking the win after stomping out Seth Rollins. This one is now done and dusted, and it's time to move into a new direction. Here's where I think the foot comes off the gas in what they want to do with Edge, what stories they want to, or more importantly, should be telling. There's everything pre-Judgment Day, and then there's the second half of this run, which is just, I can't believe I created a group. Now I'm going to end it, even though that doesn't end up happening despite 1 year of trying. Both Seth and Edge move over to Raw as they gut SmackDown. Edge goes to Monday nights and runs down the list of possibilities: AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Big E, and out to interrupt him is The Miz. A rivalry with the Mizanins after that awesome feud with Seth. Now, no hate to The Miz, he's crafted a great career for himself, but in 2021, heading into 2022, what do you really hope to get out of this? I think at this point, doing something with Kevin Owens as the stopgap to WrestleMania 38 would have been excellent, but the biggest missed opportunity is, if you want to keep him away from AJ until WrestleMania, why not have him face off against the new WWE champion Big E? His title reign was not good, very forgettable, and it ended with him regressing back into being a tag team guy and unfortunately getting injured. It could have benefited big time from a simple story where the vet comes in, he's the litmus test for an unproven champion, a feral Edge who at this point keeps losing out, keeps losing focus of what he came here to achieve. It's so weird to watch this back. The world title scene on Raw is the comedy stylings of Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Meanwhile, Big E is just kind of there like, look what I have. No one cares? Okay, no one cares. The rivalry with The Miz is a typical rehash you've seen many times. He brings up his WrestleMania 27 main event the same night Edge opened against Alberto Del Rio. That back in 2006, he needed Edge's kindness when he started off in the business. He was kicked out of the locker room because he was an outcast. Edge talks about how The Miz brushed him off, and it's the typical "where were you when I needed you" type beat. Miz does not know the name of the next pay-per-view and calls it January 1 instead of Day 1, and the match is made official. Edge promises to wipe the constipated look off Miz's face. There's not a whole heck of a lot to this, but man, did I ever forget about this monstrosity of a segment between Edge, Miz, and Maurice. The year on Raw ends with a vow renewal between the Mizanins, mediated by Eric Bischoff for some reason. These are always painful, but Maurice's acting makes 2019 Lana look absolutely legendary. Here you go, guys. Swim in black goop. Here's a brood bath for your troubles. Edge brings back the brood entrance again, which is always cool. Miz has Maurice in his corner at Day 1, so Edge is struggling to even the odds until out comes Beth Phoenix, who grunts a lot. Spear from Edge, and he takes the win. This did not need to be 20 minutes, and I can't even say it's bad. They're trying, but it drags for a bit. That happens a lot in Edge's second run. Now we build to a mixed tag team match where the whole idea is Maurice actually doesn't want the match. Well, pretends not to want the match to lay the trap for the Copelands. She lays out Beth with a brick purse. Let's play a quick game now. With the Royal Rumble coming up in just a matter of days, what's the last spot? What's the final thing we see in the Raw go home? Was it Lashley and Brock who are finally going to have their one-on-one, perhaps a pull-apart brawl between these two? Was it Seth Rollins hyping up his upcoming Universal Championship match against Roman Reigns? Was it the classic multi-man brawl to really hammer home the enormity of the Royal Rumble, where someone's guaranteed to get a World Championship match at WrestleMania? If you chose any of those options, you'd be wrong, because the last thing we see is a birthday bash celebration for Maurice, where she is gifted literal bricks by The Miz. Edge and Beth end up taking the win on that disastrous Royal Rumble show. Not really a rivalry that accomplished anything, didn't really need to happen when there were better options on the table. I understand Edge's career has been given a second chance and he wants to wrestle with his wife, but this becomes a theme as we move forward. Plus, they've already had Beth in the Randy rivalry. But now it's time to sink our teeth into another dream match. One of the most anticipated of this entire run, Edge, AJ Styles. Edge and Seth seems to be an ongoing theme in this video. Both of them mere months ago were wrestling each other, and now they find themselves with the exact same story heading into WrestleMania 38. Neither of them can find an opponent. Edge's story goes on for 2 weeks, while Seth extends all the way to the show. He mentions his roads to WrestleMania will become clear tonight. Nice little bit of foreshadowing there. He begs for someone to step out, and finally, out comes the phenomenal one. He, the past couple years, hasn't been doing a whole heck of a lot. He's coming off a tag team run with Omos. Pandemic era, he won the Intercontinental Championship, had some great matches, but not exactly lighting the world on fire. AJ accepts the challenge, and Edge tells him he wants the Bulldog, not the guy that's been playing tag team bitch to Omos. He cheap shots him, goes low, and turns heel. Recently, we've seen there's a certain point you get to where you represent nostalgia for many. You reach this rarefied air where the fans don't really want to boo you. You people doesn't work, especially for a guy whose whole existence is based off getting a second opportunity. He's one of the great bad guys in WWE history, but at this point, turning him abruptly heel and then having him be purple spooky guy was a miscalculation. Hindsight wise, a heel turn for Edge in Run 2, I think should have just been the Rated R Superstar at his sleaziest, most underhanded, and menacing. And more importantly, the reason for it should have made sense. Logically, if this was going to happen, it should have been last year when Bryan weaseled his way into the main event. In the moment, I didn't think this was initially a heel turn. I thought they were just going to spin it and he's going to talk about how he needs to regain his edge back. I know what I just said. The following week, Edge first comes out to his normal theme. Then they go, no, let's Tommaso Ciampa this. He's very moody. Now he's got this flood of purple lighting. It looks like when you hit invert colors on your phone, it blasts his face. Edge, after leaving AJ laying with 2 concertos the previous week, explains his actions. What he did last week was to help AJ, and it helped him. He helped free the real Edge. He feels in control of everything that will happen within this entire industry. He's now sitting on his mountain of omnipotence, and the view is phenomenal. He, the following week, debuts new music with The Other Side by Ultra Bridge. He calls Roman Reigns an Aquaman cosplayer who stack pinned him while Seth pissed all over his territory. His whole thing is ever since his return, he hasn't exactly been the same, and now that Edge is dead. He's the benchmark of WWE and thinks that he's better than everyone in the industry. The old Edge wanted to appease the fans, and this one doesn't. So he sits in a dark room with the scales of judgment in front of him, saying that it will be AJ's Judgment Day at WrestleMania. And he repeats that word judgment quite a lot. Now I gotta be fair to Edge and AJ here because very recently they've exhausted a lot of material in that rivalry with Rollins over the summer. They did the home invasion, they did the whole mashed potato neck angle, they drained the dream match branding. If you used a lot of those elements here, it would have felt like a rehash. Secondly, what do these two really have to fight over? Truthfully, this rivalry does not live up to expectations because of slow matches and distraction finishes. I'm sitting here trying to put my finger on what a rivalry between these two should have been, and the only conclusion I can come to is having a face versus face with them wanting to prove at their age who's better. I get it, that's boring, but what else do you really have with this? AJ himself has said that in this context, Edge should have never been a heel. We get to WrestleMania, AJ Styles comes down the ramp and he has a gash at the side of his head and it looks like he's Goldberged himself. His face caught the side of the big WrestleMania star on the stage as he was coming out. Edge has a unreal entrance for this. He's sitting on a throne and it looks like he's about to come down and pillage AJ. Edge looks menacing, and you'd hope that he wrestles the same way. Turns out the most intimidating thing AJ meets on this night is the WrestleMania set. Early in the match, the crowd is into it. They're chanting for both guys. It starts pretty well, actually. It then goes real slow, with Corey Graves saying the crowd is watching, and I quote, an instant classic unfold in front of their very eyes. I'd love to see what was on his monitor. Just not my cup of tea. It's not a bad match, but it's also not one of these matches that reaches those deep waters that a dream match between these two really should. It also has to do with the style that Edge is wrestling. The phenomenal forearm into a mid-air spear is a cool finish. A finish made possible by Damian Priest appearing at ringside and throwing Styles off his game. Edge introduces him as the newest member of the Judgment Day, and we get their mission statement. It's people who haven't lived up to their true capabilities. Priest mentions that he played second fiddle to Bad Bunny, while Edge is mad that he had to beg to face someone at WrestleMania. Plus, he hates the fans for calling him a part-timer. Apparently, all that time wrestling Undertaker back in 2008 went to Edge's head, and now he has magical powers where he can possess the lights, make them flicker, change color, and then he can magically appear out of thin air. Edge also cuts the classic "You People" promos, making fun of sports teams, digging his hand inside the snapback hat of folded typical heel insults, including calling people dumb, saying they don't understand anything, they are peons, they are sheep, and that they are beneath him. To his credit, he does get heat from the crowd, but it just feels so forced. Edge challenges AJ to a rematch at WrestleMania Backlash, with Styles beating Priest to ban him from ringside. This time he's targeting AJ's family in the lead up. This one's got a different feel to it. It's faster than the WrestleMania match. It feels like there's more urgency. AJ takes it to Edge. He's flying high. Edge has the clear target on the shoulder since that's what he attacked when he got light altering powers. The Styles Clash after Edge is hanging on the rope is cool. AJ has Edge dead to rights and Damian Priest appears on the aisleway. Finn Balor comes in to take him out, and what do you know, it's another hooded figure who goes on to pull AJ off the top rope right into a chokehold. He's out, and the reveal is none other than Rhea Ripley. After Backlash, Edge cuts his hair, and the group is now looking for new recruits, with Edge being the one who told Rhea to forget about Liv. Little did he know that Liv would end up in the Judgment Day anyways, and basically become the de facto leader. They get the win in a 3-on-3 tag match at Hell in a Cell against Liv, AJ, and Finn. The following night on Raw, Edge announces a brand new member of the Judgment Day, and out comes Finn Balor. Priest says they're ready to shed the last little bit of limitations holding them back, which is Edge. And they pulverize Edge. They kick him out of his own group, they put him through the announce table, he eats a concerto and all the finishers you can imagine. This writes him off. The group essentially starts on April 3rd, 2022, and by June 6th, the original iteration is done. It feels very rushed. Edge himself did an interview where he said that this iteration with Finn was going to go on for a year before the breakup. In fairness, the Judgment Day really helped Dom, it helped Rhea, and it did help Damian Priest, so in that aspect, it's good. Heading into SummerSlam, there's these mysterious cryptic vignettes with some very clear signs to Edge's past that air on WWE TV. He returns at SummerSlam 2022 during a match between the Mysterios and the Judgment Day, and man, this feels like it goes on for forever. The final chapter of Edge's return is essentially a year of Judgment Day lure, and then he goes on random side quests. He's a face again, and he vows to end the group. There's a sub-story where Rhea is trying to corrupt Dom and bring him to the dark side. They play on Rey and Edge's friendship, with Dom believing that his dad should be siding with him. Now he's rebelling against the adults. Edge takes on Damian Priest in his hometown of Toronto, which is a solid match. Hot crowd, Edge looks great, Priest does a good job of playing the bad guy. Edge is pulling out Canadian destroyers, there's refs going down like the NASDAQ, but ultimately the Rated R superstar takes the win. And after the show, a video circulated of him saying that this time next year, hopefully in Toronto, he'd love to finish off this run once and for all. But first, we have essentially 7 months of Judgment Day left. Clash at the Castle we go. This audience goes mental for Edge. Not just seeing his theme, but look at this visual. Look at the visual on your screen. There is nothing going on. They're going bananas just for him to be tagged in. He hits the shittiest 619 I have ever seen. All in all, it's a pretty fun tag match. They pack a lot into 12 minutes. Dom ends up being the deciding factor for Rey's team, but this is all about the aftermath where Mysterio kicks Edge in the nuts and then clotheslines his dad. The goth kids finally got to the quiet kid on the playground, and now they're going to rot him to his core. Edge and Finn Balor is set up for Extreme Rules in an I Quit match. It takes a while for them to really get to the plunder, which is what you'd expect in a match like this. This Philly crowd sounds like they're competing on an episode of Silent Library. Edge drives Finn into the barricade, and that's where it really picks up. They go into the crowd, brawl towards the kickoff set. Edge brings out a hockey stick, which he uses for his Glasgow grin. Love that. They brawl throughout the arena and back into the ring. That's when Judgment Day runs interference. Edge fends them off until out comes Rhea Ripley with a pair of handcuffs. She handcuffs Edge to the top rope, and they beat the pulp out of him. Rey runs interference. He gets pumped too. Edge, despite having no one, has not quit until his wife is brought into the fold. The crowd goes mental for her and Rhea squaring off. Beth revives her husband. She finds the keys to the handcuffs. But these guys came into this with a game plan. Rhea threatens to hit a concerto, and just the mere thought of that makes Edge say I quit. But Rhea, she does it anyways. Good match and a fun angle to end it. This is a half-hour I Quit match. I don't get the timing for a lot of Edge's matches in this run. It feels like very frequently I have to say that there could have been 10 minutes shaved off a particular match. He's on the shelf till Royal Rumble, and his sole purpose in the 30-man match is to come back and yet again attack the Judgment Day. This time to set up yet another tag match that comes to us at Elimination Chamber, where Finn Balor lives true to his name, but they continue to stretch this thing out, and it culminates inside Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania 39. Edge has a very cool entrance. He comes out to South of Heaven. Finn, on the other hand, the Demon, has his entrance in broad daylight, which does not look great. You need darkness for it to really have that impact. He looks like he's performing some weird ritual. They get right into this by bringing in the weapons, which for some reason are colored. The intensity early on is great. Finn's chucking cheers at Edge. We're getting table spots. All is going well until out comes the ladder. The demon eats this right in the face and he starts gushing blood. The ref steps in and calls for the medical team, and of course health is paramount, but it throws things off at the exact point where this match was starting to shoot up. It's a freak accident at the worst time possible. While Finn is getting cleaned up in a Hell in a Cell match, mind you, Edge has to fill time and he's just kind of prancing around. When he's back in, it gets fast again. Coup de grace 1 doesn't do the trick, execution off the ladder. The big crazy spot of this match comes when Finn sets up Edge on a table. They've attached a platform to the cell and he crashes and burns off the coup de grace attempt from the outside of the ring. Edge goes nuts with chair shots and ends the match with a concerto, getting even for Extreme Rules, and he takes it. Great call by Michael Cole where he says in the City of Angels, Edge has slayed the demon. Despite that portion of the match where it stopped, it's still a solid match. To put a bow on this whole Judgment Day rivalry, first off, Edge's goal was to destroy what he created, and after spending a year feuding with them, it's counterintuitive for Edge to get the win. And if he's going to get the win, the group still exists, because that goes against his whole beef in the first place. Finn was scheduled to win this one, but Vince changed it despite Edge pushing for it. Secondly, did this really need to go until WrestleMania? Edge literally pinned Finn Balor and got revenge for his wife at Elimination Chamber in a mixed tag team match. They stretched the hell out of this rivalry. The nostalgia seeker in me says that this match should have been a one-off between Edge and Cena. That's something we never got. It just made so much sense. Their ascent started at WrestleMania 21 here in Los Angeles. Here they are nearly 20 years later. Both of them helped one another reach their stardom. Now it's slowly coming to an end for both guys. They come back to LA, the same place it all began, and have the one-on-one match that they still are yet to have. I say this knowing we never got an interaction between these two, not in Edge's final run, and now that Cena's is done and dusted, it didn't happen there either. Plus, both their singles matches didn't do anything for anyone, didn't do anything for Theory, didn't do anything for Cena, for Finn, for Edge. It only would have added a huge match onto an already loaded card. Post WrestleMania, he's in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament and is part of an awesome triple threat match with Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles. I would have loved to see him win the World Heavyweight Championship, especially since they modernized it. They reintroduced it with a completely clean lineage. There's a rumor that he had a clause in his contract where they couldn't put a championship on him. Also, he wanted to have a run where he helped young talents. He has this restrictive contract where he's only around a select number of dates, and that's alright, he's almost 50. A random one-off match against Grayson Waller, and it feels like after the Finn rivalry, they padded things out even more knowing that the end was near. Edge, on the August 11th, 2023 episode of SmackDown, tells us about how he came back to WWE. It was all thanks to shooting a video for Sheamus' YouTube channel. A wipeout on his bike and not feeling pain was the catalyst to his comeback, and if not for that moment, he never would have been back. He never would have pushed it, so he wants to go out against that very same man. The cherry on top, just like he said in that post-match video after wrestling Damian Priest in 2022, it would in fact be in his hometown of Toronto. These two have a good match. I was there live. It felt really rushed towards the end, and you could tell that they needed to get out of it quick. This episode of SmackDown is dedicated to Edge, and it's his 25-year anniversary with the company. He scores the win and goes out in a blaze of pyro. Very poetic ending to his final run. Sheamus said that this match was almost Damian Priest again, but that thankfully didn't end up happening. After this, his contract expired. He posted a video on Twitter saying that he had a contract extension waiting for him from WWE. He ended up not re-signing and went to AEW. Overall, I think this is a run of two halves. The 2020 to 2021 portion is genuinely great stuff. The substance of the Randy rivalry was good, even though the matches were forced. The WrestleMania 37 main event was awesome. The Seth rivalry was easily the best thing WWE did that year. The second half of this run with Miz and AJ and Judgment Day, it's just Edge being just another ordinary guy. He feels like he's running around in the same loop, not really doing anything of consequence. The Styles rivalry didn't hit. The Miz feud happened at a time where it felt like he was about to go nuclear after an amazing first 9 months of 2021. The Judgment Day got better once he left the group. What really dawned on me during this, and I don't know why this is, but this run suffers from long match syndrome. I truly can't put my finger on it. I come out of a lot of these matches usually liking them, but at the same time thinking that 10 minutes could have been shaved off, no problem. I think if you would have stuck around a rivalry with Cody would have been pretty fun. Maybe something with Punk down the line. Peaks of great, other rivalries not too special. Overall, I think it leans more good than it does bad, but it's close. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching.